Watching CBS 47 on your side with Ann Hong, Matt Otstadt with True View Weather, and Paul Leffler on sports.
Every Sunday, Paul Leffler brings us a story of a Valley veteran. He joins us now with this week's Stories of Service.
Before we get to those sports heroes, let's talk about some real heroes, although I have a feeling this guy was watching Tiger Woods today. If you've ever played golf at Riverside Golf Course, at least in the last couple decades, David Aguilar's face should be a familiar one. What you probably don't know is what he went through in World War II and how long he had to wait to get the medals he deserved.
Yeah, this is a tough golf course. In 1939, it became 18 holes.
David Aguilar can tell you all about Fresno's Riverside Golf Course. He caddied there when it was just a 9-hole course, and he's been a marshal there since retiring from the maintenance department at Fresno State 20 years ago. From the tees to the fairways and to the greens, the serenity of the golf course is in stark contrast to what David experienced 6 decades ago.
I was just married. In fact, I was living with my mother in Merced. Somehow or now they got my address here, and I got a letter from Uncle Sam.
Entering the Army at the age of 18, David soon found himself in the driver's seat of a tank.
Raised on a farm, I knew how to drive a Caterpillar, and I think there was no difference in that. The only difference, there was no brakes on a big Sherman tank, which is 33 tons of steel. The only way to slow down is to shift down.
With the gear.
And I knew how to do that. So that's some of my qualifications that I passed, and Sergeant says, that's your tank.
He still has vivid memories of his time in the tank, but by the time he arrived on the beach at Normandy 12 days after D-Day, he had been converted to an infantryman.
I mean, it was a big beach, but then it come up to the rise of the mountains up there, and then up there was a lot of trees, you know, and when I was up there on top, after that long walk up that hill, way up on top, a very peculiar smell hit me. What in the world is that? It was paratroopers that had been killed, and they got stuck in the trees, and the Germans killed them.
That was David's welcome to the war moment, but his most intense experiences were yet to come.
It was in St. Lo, where they needed a bazooka man. First they had some volunteers. That was their, volunteers. If there were no volunteers, they're going to point. So I don't know, I said, well, okay, I'll do it.
He never had any formal bazooka training, but a little GI ingenuity can go a long way.
You know, I learned something. Those things couldn't shoot too far. But when we got into Germany, as a kid, you know how you get rocks, flat rocks, and throw them on the water and they'll skip? That hit me. I said, you know, I'm going to use this. I got real down low and use the snow to skip the rock to get to my target. It worked.
Like so many veterans of the European theater, Aguilar says his most harrowing and trying experiences came around that Belgian forest called the Ardennes.
This was the worst right here. This is the deciding right here, the Battle of the Bulge.
You were there?
That was a toughie. Mostly of us suffered more because it was winter, how we struggled in the snow up to our knees, mud. We were very lucky not to be shortage of ammunition and men and gasoline, that sort of, like the Germans were caught with that.
Yeah.
After the landmark Allied victory at the Bulge, the 2nd Infantry Division chased the retreating Nazi army back into Germany and across the Rhine River. With resistance thinning out, the troops could breathe a little easier, but we all know what curiosity did to the cat, and it almost got David too.
And it was a big high tower. It was about 4 stories high. I got very curious. I got up there, went up the stairs, you know. Got way up there, there was a German officer lady up there. Well, she gave up right away. She put her hands up there, you know, and you could see quite a bit of land from up there, 4 stories high. There was a German machine gun there. So by the window, you know, so, shoot, I'm going to have fun here. I got that thing, just like that thing. I put my feet up there, give it, well, naturally, the guys up downstairs, some of them didn't know I was up there. pow, 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 pow. And then I hollered, "This is Aguilar! This is Aguilar!" And they chewed me up.
One of David's prized possessions now is a sword he took from a German officer in Leipzig.
He was sharp looking. So I said, "Can I have this thing?" Because his next pocket in English. I said, "Okay." I took it from him.
So he has that sword, but he doesn't have his helmet. He gave that to a young boy in Czechoslovakia who had come out to cheer the liberators. For 55 years, he didn't have any of his medals that now hang on the wall. But Chuck Mongus, the founder of Fresno's Legion of Valor Museum, started the ball rolling on that. And not only did Aguilar receive 10 medals, including the Bronze Star, but his foxhole buddy Doug Scott of San Antonio finally got his too. David recently met up with Scotty at the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., and the two remain close friends. 60 years after he marched in this victory parade in San Francisco, his family has grown accustomed to watching him march in Fresno's Veterans Day Parade as part of the VFW's Honor Guard. His love for his country is impossible to miss, and David's glad he made it back to share that patriotism with everyone else.
You're scared at the beginning. You're scared to death, you know. And you just don't know, but if you're, I guess I got to thank my dad for teaching me to use common sense, you know, and I guess that's what carried me on.
Speaking like a wise man.
Yeah, and he keeps very active. He likes to dance at the VFW post, very active in the VFW. He had 4 brothers that were paratroopers. He's the oldest of 6. 4 of his brothers also served as paratroopers, so quite the military family. Sure. And I hear he is quite the dancer, too. If you'd like to get involved in helping us preserve the stories of World War II veterans before it's too late, check out our website, cbs47.tv, or call that number on your screen for stories of service, 445-001.